Hi, so we're going to be looking at the ink in this video. Remember, this is in prelude really to us doing an Indiegogo campaign and setting up a shop so we can sell this ink. In a minute we'll go down and have a look at a few examples of some of the things the ink can do. Now remember, they're only really teasers, they're just an idea of what the ink can do, not really sort of an in-depth exploration, just a few quick examples. We're thinking about supplying it like this, which is in a pen, and it's a very handy thing actually. Nice little controllable nib, and you can draw lovely things with that, and it allows you to draw it, or we can supply it in a pot like this for the larger versions, and that's what we're thinking about doing. So let's just go down and have a quick look at a few of the examples, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more. So here's the ink in a pot, and all I've done is taken a bit of the ink and pent it onto some paper, and then I've annealed it by giving a bit of a polish and a bit of a rub down with a teaspoon. Now you can see it's got this strange metallic shiny look to it, which is a bit awesome actually. And I've got here a thickness meter, a square resistance probe, and a cheap multimeter. So all of this is a bit rough and ready, but it'll give you an idea of where everything is with this, and that's what we're looking for really, just ideas at the moment, because remember these are more in the way of teasers than anything. So if I pop my square resistance probe on, take a reading of that, then I'm getting a resistance reading around about 10 ohms, something like that. So if I use my thickness measure, I can measure how thick that film is. There we go, my reference plate. Stick that under the paper, we can read the paper. The paper is 70 microns thick. That is 72 microns. So we've got the 2 micron thick thickness of ink there, and that's no surprise, I just painted a coat on. So if we get our calculator, then we can get a square resistance per mil, which is going to be 10 divided by 25 multiplied by 2. We're getting about 0.8 of an ohm per square per mil. So it's somewhere around about there. Now this is the first version that I tried, and it has gum arabic as a binder, which is kind of cool, but you know, it's going to wash off in your hands, that sort of thing, so not as useful as other binders. So given we've got 0.8 of a mil, I decided to use a waterproof binder, in this case polyurethane. So I used a polyurethane binder, and I was able to paint it onto plastic. This is a bit of plastic sheeting. Acetate sheet. Actually it's BOPET, biaxially oriented polyethylene tetraphthalate. It's what you used to use for overhead projectors, and we used to call them acetates. And it paints quite nicely onto BOPET, and it's quite sort of sticks onto it quite nicely, as you can see, and it makes this lovely film. That's when it's first applied. This is when I've just given it a rub over with a bit of tissue. So I take a bit of tissue, give it a rub, then it comes out in that beautifully metallic, shiny look to it. And this is where I've gone over it with a teaspoon. So I just basically take the back of a teaspoon and just give the back of it with a rub with the back of a teaspoon. That compresses everything down. Each time we do that, we get a slightly different reading. So on this one, we've got quite a high reading actually, 800 ohms. On this one, where we just rubbed it with the tea towel, we get 100 ohms, and on this one where we've given it a go over with a teaspoon, we get 11.5 ohms. So we can make quite a big difference in the conductivity, and that's obvious why. Here we've got lots of hills where it's not really making much contact. Here where we've just rubbed that off, we've rubbed everything into the hills and valleys and made it all lay out a bit neatly. Here we've compressed all those layers down a bit, so we're getting about 12 ohms, I think I said 11.5, 12 ohms, something like that. If we take the thickness of the BOPET, quite thick, this stuff actually. We get a reading of 170 micrometers thick. Now if we read this, so we take it after it's been annealed, and then we're getting there you go, 182. So we get 182, giving us about 12 micrometers of thickness. Given that we've got 11.5 ohms, we're getting a resistance reading here of about 5.5 ohms per square. This is one with the polyurethane in it. And the reason that's kind of cool is the polyurethane makes it waterproof. So, well, water resistant, nothing is waterproof. And that means this would be really useful for things like electroplating. So if you're doing keepsakes electroplating or golf balls or plastic parts or something like that, it would be really useful to electroplate using a waterproof version. So although we get a loss in conductivity, we're going from 1 ohm to 5 ohms per square per mil, then it's probably worth it because that's still really usable to be able to electroplate in an electroplating bath onto a plastic substrate. So that's really kind of cool. Now this stuff, when it's nice and shiny and silvery like this, is almost metallic, and it's really quite curious, and I want to show you the diamagnetic property of it. So what you're seeing here is a group of magnets there, 5 by 5, and they're oriented north, south, north, south. So it's north, south, north, south, north, south, to make a crisscross. And what we have here is a flake of the new ink material. And if I push that gently, oh, oops, it's actually harder than it looks. What I'm trying to do is get that flake of material over to where one of those two magnets cross over. There you go. And what you're seeing is that flake of material riding over the magnets because it's being repelled. See if we can get it there. There we go. That is the diamagnetic effect. So you're looking at diamagnetism on that bed of magnets with that flake of material. As far as I'm concerned, that's just awesome. Let's pop it on there. There we go. You can see that it went from one point to the next. Let's try that again. That is it. There we go. Look at that. There you go. Did you see it float over? There you go. When you get it to the right position, the opposing magnetic fields make it ride all the way over. There we go. Now you can see it lifting off. So it's being lifted off that magnetic field. So all I've done is taken some of this ink that's in this little pen and draw around this bottle here with a line of the ink, and then put it into here. I've got it on at high power, incidentally. Whoops, let's take the top off. So it's on high power, and we're going to give it a minute. And there we go. So the ink, remember, is a graphite based actually, and that makes it a susceptor for microwaves. So what happens is that ink line gets really, really hot. The glass can't, so there's a thermal shock between the ink and the glass, and a crack forms, and that crack propagates in the line of the ink. So in effect, that's how we cut it. And that's all we really need to do, is paint that line, cook it in the microwave until you hear that crack noise. There it is. And then we can just take it out. So if we take that out, then there you go. It has cut the glass in the line where we made the ink. Now obviously it's a bit rough. What we would do then is paint that with some more ink, pop it in there, and in this time what will happen is that those edges will in fact just fuse over. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Now remember, they are just teasers. The idea is to go back to them in a much more in-depth way, but of course that wasn't particularly in-depth because it's just to give you an idea of some of the possibilities of the ink and what the ink can actually do. Now, we did a campaign on about conductive ink ages ago, and it had a worse conductivity of this, and we just did it as a one-off. The idea here is not to do it as a one-off. What we want is a constant product that's out there. We want to set this up as being its own business where the ink will always be available, and the improvements on the ink as well. We can bring those online when we make them, basically. And as the campaign progresses, then we're going to do much more than we've been doing. So we'll do circuits, that kind of thing. One thing I've got in mind is to do a stylophone, and I'm thinking about doing a stylophone kit as well, so that's likely to appear very quickly. We'll look again at the glass cutting, and I would be really interested in what this would do as an antenna. So we'll probably look at some kind of applications that we can do with antennas. Now, there's only so much that I can think of because I'm one guy and I have rather a lot to do. So this is, I want it to be much more open forum. I'd like other people to get hold of the ink and to do their own experiments, have their own thoughts and make suggestions and talk to each other. So the plan here is to set up a sub YouTube channel underneath the FWG channel, which is going to be the Working Ink channel. And there I'll post the videos that we come up with and hopefully the videos that you come up with as well. And if you come up with suggestions and we take those suggestions up, then the videos of your suggestions that you've brought up as well can appear under the Working Ink YouTube channel so that other people can access them. It can be a bit of an open forum for people to work on and develop applications for this ink, because I personally think the ink is amazing and well worth doing that with. Now, alongside the Indiegogo and the new YouTube channel, we'll obviously start a new website, and in the website will be the shop where you'll be able to buy the kits and the ink refills and basically keep in touch. So we'll be opening a new website on that quite soon as well, so that we can do that sort of stuff. And encourage that to happen, really, but mostly to encourage experimentation out there. Now, it's not really possible for me to do all of this stuff by myself, so I'm going to create 2 new jobs here at FWG, and they're going to be under Working Ink. So the jobs are for Working Ink, and the 2 jobs are effectively one in sales and administration, that is looking after the kits, looking after the sales, looking after the admin side, and the other is looking after the technical side, that is the making of the ink, the boxing of it, the putting the ideas into actual production, and helping to make videos. Now, it won't be as clear-cut as that, obviously. There'll only be 3 people working on Working Ink, the 2 new posts and myself. And those people really will have an awful lot of crossover in what we do in terms of design, development, sales, assistance, packaging, videoing, all that sort of stuff. So there'll be an awful lot of crossover that's going to go on, but we're planning on having 2 new people here. And of course, we've got the space, we've got the desks for people. So we have 2 new people here to run Working Ink. We'll have a new website, we'll have a new YouTube channel, and we'll run the Indiegogo campaign to raise the funds to be able to do all of that stuff. So that's the plan with the Working Ink, because we want to keep Working Ink out there as a product where people can experiment themselves with things like circuits, conductivity, free power, batteries, capacitors, all that sort of stuff. So we'll be able to work on those things as kits, as part of Working Ink, put it under that separate channel, and hopefully have an awful lot more feedback between the 2 of us. So I hope that was of interest to you, and thank you very much for watching.